But I'm really happy with that. Like, as little effects go, that's not bad. And all we have here is an unlit corridor, two bubbly torches. I think we actually have a little directional light from in here.
I
Uh,
believe, so BB Game Dev, those reflections of the fire and the stone were screen based.
yes, yes, they are. Let's take a look.
Because I think you turned it off again, so save before you do it.
Oh, that was from the old one.
Ah, okay, yep.
Here's my SSR. Actually, this is SDFGI, or is it just simple roughness? Oh wait, this stone doesn't have. Um,
On its materials. That's just the Omni light that's in the torch, isn't it?
yes, it's exactly what it is. Now, there is a way of doing this, if I can remember what it is. Um, reflected light. No, reflected light from the background. There is a way of doing this. Is the amount of steps? Anyway, the lights are being reflected, right? We can see them. These are being reflected down there. I don't know how clear it is when I'm streaming. The omni light, not the particles, are being reflected. That's why we're getting that effect. There's probably ways around that, but I'm also a big fan of this effect.
Very ominous.
Yep, it's just two particles on top of each other. And the black one here is much slower, and the scaling is done in a way to make it look nice and blobby. But it's just told prioritize this layer. So we've got two alpha layers, but the one in front is always drawn in front, which, especially for a billboard, is kind of useful. And I just like what we did with Bob's skull. Like the fact that we haven't textured it and it's kind of a quick and easy model really doesn't show. So how are we doing for time? Because
We are coming up to the 50-minute mark.
okay, we've had a lot of crashes, and I wanted to look at navigation, but I didn't get it working. So instead, why don't we move over to questions, concerns, thoughts, comments, interpretive dances, and jingles?
They can't see me at the moment, but I'm doing pretty much what Jan's doing.
Wiggle, 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 wiggle.
No, I wasn't doing that. Yeah.
It's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie, woogie. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
Okay.
And I'm gonna close down God of War before it crashes my entire system and makes me reset the computer, which it hasn't done this time. But
it's done before. I should really switch to both of us as well. Otherwise, you're just a small square in the corner. Welcome back, me. Hi. So yes, we're at that time of the show where you guys get to ask us questions or not, or it can be about
I
anything.
mean, there's a
We're
lot
pretty
of really
open.
cool stuff happening with the new code changes to GDScript. I'm a big fan of the way that they've made the tween nodes work, which you can also see in 3.5. I forgot the word tween from it there. But rather than having to create a tween node, tween is just built in. So you just call a tween and it creates it and does the thing.
That's really useful.
That's all
Really,
kinds of
really
great.
useful. Yes. I don't know. So the reflections of the particles, you'd be pretty much talking probably about ray tracing at that point to get the fire.
I would
in
imagine
there
so.
as
I would
well.
imagine so. Like it's reflecting light.
Or
I
you'd have
think
to
there is
like,
a way we could reflect materials as well,
yeah,
but the particles themselves, I don't think would count.
no. And you could spawn actual lights. That would be crazy.
I mean, it might be because I told them don't receive shadows and don't cast shadows, and it's just not calculating in that way.
Mm.
I don't know. I believe it's not. I think that you just don't see the particles and reflections.
I've predicted the next question.
You did. Are
Hello,
teams still going
Milligon.
on tick? I believe they are. I think. I mean, I'd have to do some research. There's still an on tick thing for tweens, but one of the important things you can do now is you define your tween with way less code. By the way, so instead of like var tween equals $tween dot interpolate properties brackets. what node we're tweening, what property we're tweening, what property we're tweening it to, what's the initial value, what we're tweening it to, yada, yada, yada. There's far fewer, but you can also tween parallel. So you can have multiple tweens happening at the same time or in sequence.
Oh, that's really helpful.
Right. You don't have to say, start this tween, 10 seconds later, start this other one.
Yeah.
You could just say, do this tween, now move on to the next one, or have these things happen at the same time, which is great. What did you mean earlier when you said Unreal is on my radar? Mikey lives in an airbase, and Unreal have bought a plane. Boop. Actually, we might as well live in an airbase.
I live between like 3 air bases, so it can get quite loud around here. But yes, to answer that question, it's on my radar. I've been wanting to get back into Unreal, and this was a conversation over on our Discord earlier on today, and I had already mapped out for Unreal Engine 4 a load of material stuff. So when the question was asked about, I'd love sort of like an artistic in point for Unreal to understand how materials work, what choices you would make, etc. I was like, I kind of have a syllabus already written, but I'm busy doing other stuff at the moment. So no promises, but it's on my radar.
Would multiple ticks on a node at the same time, is that bad? As I say, I haven't actually played too much with it. I played a little bit with tweens. They're kind of awesome. It took me a while to figure out how to do it because this was back in Alpha 3 or so, and the documentation was still being written. UE5 course confirmed. I mean, I will tell you right now, we would love to do a UE5 course. It keeps coming up. Whether or not that's a promise is up to Mikey.
I'm just going to do that whenever anybody asks. You can clip that and gif it onto the on the Discord.
I mean, I would have gone with
no radar, not sonar.
No, it's on your sonar. You're underwater.
It's on my LiDAR.
So yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. I like the consistent naming stuff. I like the new navigation, which I didn't get to show you, which is you drop in a navigation agent into a rigid body and it just handles the movement. You don't have to write movement code for it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Churro's got a question about Discovering Godot, I presume.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with those. I don't have those videos. I might have to go back and re-record them because I lost a bunch of data a while back, which is annoying. It might be that Godot 4 comes out before those come in, but I would still have to record them because people did kind of pay for it, and we don't want to.
That makes sense.
Okay, bye. The problem is the last month or so, I've been a little bit sick, and nothing major, but my fatigue levels have been off the charts.
I think everybody in the UK has with the 40-degree heat wave and
with the 40-degree heat wave and everything else. Yeah. My meds have decided that my body doesn't recognize them. It's just going to start all over again, which is fine. And like,
I'm not laughing at you
yet.
I'm laughing at Daz.
No, totally. But the last couple of weeks, I have managed 2 hours of productivity followed by a nap, followed by 2 hours of productivity followed by a nap. Like it's kind of thrown me. But yes, no, it's definitely a thing I'll do. Boop. You thought your Bluetooth headphones were running flat because I'm listening while making dinner. Low battery. Thank you for joining us, Todd.
Yep. And I'll catch up with you with the email you sent through. I might look at it tomorrow with a fresh head rather than later on tonight, but I'll get back to you.
While Mikey trolls Daz, Mikey, it's Blender next week, right?
It is Blender next week, and we've got a surprise. We may even have a guest as well next week, but this is why I'm not going to say what it is, because nothing is...
Is it Sinead O'Connor?
No. Hang on, let me Google who is... How do you spell Sinead?
I'm so old.
And that elicited the response that I wanted.
Oh. Medic. How's the UE situation on Linux? Haven't looked in a while. I don't know.
I can make...
Mikey doesn't play with Linux.
Well, I can comment old old me, maybe two years ago, I was running a Linux machine. It was based on Pop OS, which is an Ubuntu, but it came with preloaded with the NVIDIA drivers and things like that. One of the things that was holding back Linux at the time, and probably still is NVIDIA's drivers. So I was playing
Yeah.
in Unreal 4, and there's I forget what it's actually called in the settings. It's tessellation, where you can use a height map to actually distort geometry, which is a really awesome thing. And I'd spent the weekend I was away. I had my laptop, which was running Windows, mapped it all out, went back to record it, and it wasn't working. It took me half a day to figure out the reason why it wasn't working is not because I was a numpty, it's because the drivers on Linux didn't support tessellation or Unreal's version of whatever it was trying to do on the GPU. So that's all I can say. I'd love to hear an up to date version with UE5, but who knows?